The explosion rocked the set, a fireball tearing through the air as I dove behind a prop car, my heart pounding louder than the blast. I was Lena Harper, Hollywood's go-to stuntwoman, and this was just another day at work, except it wasn't. Because today I'd be doubling for her Amara Blake, the actress whose face haunted my dreams and whose smile made me forget how to breathe. Dust settled around me as the director yelled, "Cut!" I pulled myself up, brushing ash from my stunt gear, my pulse still racing. The set was a chaotic symphony of crew members, cameras, and the faint smell of gasoline, but all I could see was Amara, standing by the monitor, her long black hair catching the California sunlight. At 30, she was a star, her elegance effortless, her presence magnetic. I was just the woman who threw herself into danger so Amara could shine on screen. But every time our eyes met, I swore there was something more. A spark, a secret we hadn't dared to name. I'd been in Hollywood for 5 years, clawing my way up from low-budget indie films to blockbusters like this one, Eclipse of Valor, a high-octane action flick about a rogue cop named Claire Voss. Amara played Claire, and I was her shadow, performing the stunts that made her character iconic. Car chases, rooftop leaps, fistfights. I did them all, my body a canvas of bruises and scars. 28, I was good at my job, maybe too good. I lived for the adrenaline, the rush of defying death. But lately, the real danger wasn't the stunts. It was Amara. We'd met 6 months ago, on the first day of shooting. I'd been rigging a harness for a high-fall scene when she approached, her brown eyes curious. "You're the one who makes me look badass, huh?" she'd said, her voice warm, teasing. I'd laughed, trying to play it cool, but her smile had unraveled me. From that moment we were tethered, casual chats between takes, shared coffee runs, late-night talks on set when everyone else had gone home. She was kind, funny, and impossibly human. Nothing like the untouchable star the tabloids painted her to be. But she was also straight. At least, that's what I told myself, even as her lingering glances and soft touches made my heart ache. Today's scene was the climax of the film. Claire Voss, wounded and cornered, makes a desperate stand against the villain. I'd be doubling for Amara in a brutal fight, ending with me, Claire, collapsing in a pool of fake blood. The emotional weight of the scene demanded precision, and I felt it in my bones. But what gnawed at me wasn't the stunt. It was the final moment, where Claire's partner, played by another actress, cradles her as she dies. Except the director had made a last-minute change. Amara would perform that part herself, no double. She'd be the one holding me, her face close to mine as the cameras rolled. "Lena, you ready?" The stunt coordinator, Mike, clapped me on the shoulder, pulling me from my thoughts. I nodded, adjusting my gear. My job was simple. Take the hits, make it look real, and don't get distracted by the woman whose arms I'd be dying in. Easy, right? The set buzzed as we prepped for the shot. I caught Amara's eye across the lot, and she gave me a small, encouraging smile. My stomach flipped. "Focus, Lena." I ran through the choreography in my head. Dodge, punch, take a kick to the ribs, fall. The villain, played by a stuntman named Greg, was a pro, and we'd rehearsed this a dozen times. But the air felt heavier today, charged with something I couldn't name. "Places," the director called. I stepped onto the mark, the set transforming into a gritty alleyway littered with debris. Greg loomed opposite me, his stunt pads hidden under his costume. The cameras rolled and I became Claire Voss, fierce, defiant, fighting for her life. The sequence was a blur of motion. I ducked a swing, landed a fake punch, and took a calculated fall, rolling across the pavement. Pain flared in my shoulder, but I pushed through. The final blow came, a staged gunshot. I staggered, clutching my side, and dropped to my knees, the fake blood warm against my skin. Amara rushed in, her face a mask of anguish. She knelt beside me, her hands trembling as she pulled me into her arms. "Stay with me, Claire," she whispered, her voice breaking. It was acting, but God, it felt real. Her fingers brushed my cheek, and I forgot the cameras, the crew, the world. There was only her eyes locked on mine, her breath warm against my face. The script called for her to lean in, to press her forehead to mine as Claire slipped away. But as she did, something shifted. Her lips hovered so close I could feel their heat. My heart stopped. And then she kissed me. It wasn't in the script. It wasn't planned. Her lips were soft, desperate, a quiet confession in the chaos of the set. For a moment I kissed her back, my hands clutching her arms, the world fading to nothing but us. The director didn't call cut. The cameras kept rolling. And I realized this was no accident. Amara had chosen me in front of everyone. Cut. The director's voice shattered the moment. Amara pulled back, her eyes wide, her breath uneven. I lay there, stunned, the fake blood sticky on my hands, my heart racing for reasons that had nothing to do with the stunt. The crew erupted in murmurs, some confused, some amused. The director, a grizzled man named Paul, stared at the monitor, then at us. "That wasn't scripted," he said, his tone unreadable. Amara stood, offering me a hand. I took it, my legs shaky, not from the fall but from her. "You okay?" she asked, her voice low, meant only for me. I nodded, unable to speak. The crew reset for another take, but my mind was a storm. Why had she done it? Was it a mistake? A spur-of-the-moment choice for the film? Or was it something more, something real? As we prepped for the next shot, Amara stayed close, her shoulder brushing mine. "Lena," she whispered, "we need to talk. After." My throat tightened. I'd spent months convincing myself she was out of reach, that my feelings were a one-way street. But that kiss, it had rewritten everything. The rest of the day was a haze. We shot the scene again, this time without the kiss, though Amara's touch still burned where her hands had held me. Between takes, I caught her watching me, her expression unreadable. My mind raced with questions, but there was no time to ask them. The set was a machine and I was just a cog expected to keep moving. When we finally wrapped for the day, the sun was dipping below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. I lingered by the stunt trailer, my gear half-packed, my thoughts a mess. Amara found me there, her costume replaced by jeans and a loose sweater, her hair pulled back. She looked nervous, vulnerable, nothing like the untouchable star I'd built her up to be. "Lena," she said, her voice soft but steady, "I'm sorry if I crossed a line back there. I couldn't not do it." Her eyes searched mine and I saw it, the same longing I'd buried for months. I've wanted to do that for a long time. My breath caught. This was it, the moment where everything could change. But Hollywood wasn't kind to women like us, especially not to a stunt woman and a leading lady. The risks were real. Scrutiny, rumors, careers on the line. Yet standing there, with Amara's gaze holding mine, I knew I'd jump off a building for her without a harness. "Amara," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "What are we doing?" She stepped closer, her hand brushing mine. "Something honest," she said. "Something worth it." And in that moment I believed her. The next morning the set felt different, like the air itself was holding its breath. Amara's kiss lingered in my mind, a ghost I couldn't shake. I stood in the stunt trailer, checking my harness for a car chase sequence, but my hands trembled, not from nerves about the stunt but from her. I hadn't slept. After our talk, Amara and I had lingered by the trailer, words spilling out in hushed tones. She'd admitted she'd been drawn to me since our first meeting, that every laugh, every touch, had meant something. But she was scared. Scared of what it meant for her career, her image, her life. I was too. Hollywood loved a love story but not ours. Not yet. The stunt today was a beast. A high-speed chase through a staged city street, with me driving a beat-up sedan, flipping it on cue. I'd done it before, but the weight of last night made my focus slippery. Mike, the stunt coordinator, noticed. "You good, Lena?" he asked, eyeing me as I strapped into the driver's seat. "Yeah," I lied, flashing a grin. "Just another day at the office." He didn't buy it but didn't push. "Keep your head in the game. We can't afford a screw-up." The cameras rolled and I gunned the engine, tires screeching as I weaved through the set. Explosions popped in controlled bursts, debris flying past. My job was to hit the mark, trigger the mechanism, and flip the car without killing myself. Adrenaline surged, drowning out thoughts of Amara. Almost. The car spun, the world tilted, and I braced as it rolled, metal crunching, glass shattering. The harness held me tight, and when the car settled upside down, I was bruised but alive. "Cut. That's a wrap on the chase." Paul's voice crackled through the radio. Crew members swarmed, pulling me from the wreckage. I waved them off, my head spinning. Not from the crash, but from the realization that Amara had been watching. I spotted her by the monitor, her face pale, her hands clasped tightly. She'd seen me flip, seen the danger I lived in. And it hit me. She wasn't just worried about Claire Voss. She was worried about me. I cleaned up in the trailer, peeling off the stunt gear, my body aching but intact. Amara slipped in without knocking, closing the door behind her. "You scared the hell out of me," she said, her voice shaking. "Do you ever think about how close you come to?" "Every day," I said, meeting her gaze. "It's my job." She stepped closer, her eyes searching mine. "I don't know how you do it. I don't know how I'd handle it if something happened to you." Her words hit harder than the crash. I wanted to tell her I'd be fine, that I always was, but the truth was I wasn't invincible. Not with her standing there, unraveling me with every word. "Amara," I said, my voice low, "you don't have to worry about me." "But I do," she whispered. She reached for my hand, her fingers lacing through mine. It was a small gesture, but it felt like a promise. "I've spent my whole life playing roles, Lena, pretending to be someone I'm not. But with you I don't want to pretend anymore." I swallowed hard, my heart racing. This could ruin us. You know that, right? The tabloids, the studios, they'll eat us alive. She nodded, her expression fierce. "I know. But I'd rather face that than keep hiding who I am. Who we could be." Before I could respond, a knock on the trailer door jolted us apart. It was Mike calling me for a debrief. Amara squeezed my hand once, then let go. "We'll figure this out," she said. "Together." The rest of the week was a whirlwind of stunts and stolen moments. A rooftop leap, a staged explosion, a fight in a burning warehouse. I threw myself into each one, but Amara was always there, her presence a quiet anchor. We didn't talk about the kiss again. Not directly, but it hung between us, a spark waiting to ignite. During breaks we'd find excuses to be near each other. Sharing a water bottle, laughing over a bad take, our shoulders brushing as we watched playback. The crew noticed, but no one said anything. Hollywood was good at ignoring what it didn't want to see. Then came the night shoot. A quiet scene where Claire Voss reflects on her life before the final battle. Amara was in her element, delivering lines with a rawness that made my chest ache. I watched from the sidelines, my stunt work done for the day, but I couldn't leave. Not when she was pouring her heart into every word. When the director called cut, she didn't head for her trailer. She came to me, her eyes bright in the moonlight. "Walk with me," she asked. We wandered away from the set, the Los Angeles skyline glittering in the distance. The air was cool, the city alive with possibility. "I've been thinking," Amara said, her voice soft, "about us. About what happens when this movie wraps." My stomach twisted. The film was nearly done, and with it our excuse to be together every day. "What do you want to happen?" I asked, afraid of the answer. She stopped, turning to face me. "I want you, Lena. Not just on set, not just in secret. I want us to be real." Her words were a lifeline, but they came with a cost. I'd seen what happened to actors who came out, especially women. The roles dried up, the headlines turned cruel. And me? I was a stunt woman, replaceable, my name barely a footnote. But looking into Amara's eyes, I saw something worth fighting for. "I want that too," I said, my voice steady despite the fear. "But we need a plan. We need to be smart." She smiled, a mix of relief and determination. "Then let's be smart. But let's not wait." We stood there, the city humming around us, and I felt it, the shift from dreaming to deciding. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. But Hollywood had a way of testing promises, and I knew the real stunts were still ahead. The final weeks of filming were a tightrope walk. Amara and I were careful, keeping our moments private, but the tension between us was a live wire. Every glance, every brush of her hand, felt like a secret we were daring the world to discover. The set was a pressure cooker, with the crew racing to meet deadlines and the director pushing for perfection. But for me, the real stakes were off-screen. The next big stunt was a high fall from a 6-story building. A climactic moment where Claire Voss leaps to escape an explosion. I'd done falls before, but this one was tricky. Narrow margin for error, with an air cushion below to catch me. As I suited up, Amara lingered nearby, pretending to review her lines. "You sure about this one?" she asked, her voice low, her eyes betraying her worry. "I've got this," I said, forcing confidence. "It's just gravity." She didn't laugh. "Just come back to me, okay?" Her words stayed with me as I climbed the rigging, the wind sharp against my face. The set below looked small, the crew a blur of motion. I focused on the mark, the timing, the leap. When the director called action, I ran, my boots pounding the platform, and jumped. The world spun, air rushing past until I hit the cushion with a thud, my breath knocked out of me. The crew cheered, but I only looked for one face, Amara's. She was there, her relief palpable, her smile a quiet victory. That night, we stole away to a diner off Sunset Boulevard. A hole in the wall where no one cared who we were. Over greasy burgers and milkshakes we talked not about the film but about us. Amara told me about growing up in a small Ohio town, hiding who she was to fit in. I shared stories of my own. Running away from a conservative family in Texas, finding freedom in the chaos of Hollywood. Our lives were different, but the longing was the same. I've never felt like this, Amara said, her hand resting on the table inches from mine. Like I could be myself and not lose everything. You won't lose everything, I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it. We'll figure it out. But the world wasn't as kind as our diner booth. The next day, a gossip blog posted a blurry photo of us leaving the set together. Our shoulders close, our smiles too familiar. The caption speculated about Hollywood's new power couple. And though it didn't name us outright, the implication was clear. My phone buzzed with texts from friends, warning me to be careful. Amara's publicist was already in damage control mode, spinning a story about close colleagues. We need to talk to Paul, Amara said, her face grim as we met in her trailer. If this gets out of hand, it could tank the film's press. I nodded, my stomach churning. Paul was old-school pragmatic. He'd been supportive of my work, but this was different. When we sat him down, his expression was unreadable. You're adults, he said. What you do offset is your business. But if this leaks, it's not just your problem. It's the studio's. Amara leaned forward, her voice steady. We're not asking for permission, Paul. We're asking for a heads up if the studio starts pushing back. He sighed, rubbing his temples. I'll keep you posted, but keep it discreet until we wrap. This film's too big to risk. We agreed, but discretion felt like a cage. Every moment we stole, every late-night talk, every quiet touch, came with the weight of secrecy. I hated it, and I could see it wearing on Amara too. She was a star, used to the spotlight, but this was a shadow neither of us could escape. The final stunt was days away, the death scene that would define the film. It was also the scene where Amara and I would be closest, our emotions laid bare for the cameras. The thought of it thrilled and terrified me. What if we couldn't hide what we felt? What if the world saw it before we were ready? As the day approached, Amara grew quieter, her smiles rarer. I found her one evening on the edge of the set, staring at the horizon. What's wrong? I asked, sitting beside her. She didn't look at me. I'm scared, Lena. Not of the film, but of losing this. Losing you. I took her hand. The risk be damned. You won't lose me. We're in this together, remember? She nodded, but her eyes were distant. I knew what she was thinking. Hollywood didn't just make stars. Broke them too. The day of the death scene dawned gray. The sky heavy with clouds. The set was somber. The crew focused, sensing the weight of the moment. This was it, the scene that would make or break Eclipse of Valor. For me it was more. It was the moment Amara and I would face each other. No doubles, no pretense, just us. The setup was simple but brutal. Claire Voss, bleeding out, says goodbye to her partner. Amara would hold me, her face close to mine as I died. We'd rehearsed it, but the kiss, the one that had started all this, hung over us like a storm. Would she do it again? Did I want her to? As I suited up, fake blood staining my costume, Amara pulled me aside. Lena, she said, her voice low. Whatever happens today, I mean it. Every word, every look. It's real. I nodded, my throat tight. Me too. The cameras rolled, and I threw myself into the scene, my body aching from the earlier fight choreography. I collapsed, the fake blood pooling around me, and Amara was there, her arms cradling me. Her eyes were wet with tears, real tears, not glycerin. Stay with me, she whispered, her voice breaking. Don't leave me. I reached for her, my hand trembling, and for a moment it wasn't Claire Voss dying. It was me, Lena, pouring my heart into her touch. Her lips were close, so close, and I saw the question in her eyes. I nodded, barely perceptible, and she leaned in. The kiss was soft, deliberate, a promise sealed in the quiet of the set. The cameras caught it all, our truth, our defiance, our love. Cut. Paul's voice was sharp, but there was no anger in it. The crew was silent, the air thick with awe. Amara helped me up, her hand lingering in mine. Paul approached, his expression a mix of frustration and respect. "You two are gonna give me a heart attack," he said. But damn, that was powerful. The playback was electric. The kiss wasn't just a moment. It was the heart of the scene, raw and undeniable. The crew murmured their approval, but I saw the worry in Amara's eyes. We'd crossed a line and there was no going back. That night the gossip blogs exploded. Someone had leaked footage, a grainy clip of the kiss circulating online. The headlines were merciless. Amara Blake's shocking on-set romance. Lesbian kiss steals the show. My phone buzzed with notifications, but I ignored them. Amara was in her trailer, her publicist on the phone, her face pale. "I didn't want it to happen like this," she said when I found her. "Not before we were ready." "We'll handle it," I said, though I wasn't sure how. "We knew this was coming." She shook her head. "You don't get it, Lena. You're not the one they'll tear apart. I'm the star. They'll say I'm reckless, that I'm throwing away my career." I took her hands, forcing her to look at me. "Then let them talk. We're not hiding anymore." She stared at me, her eyes searching, and then she nodded. "Okay," she said. "Okay." The next day we faced the fallout. The studio called an emergency meeting. Their executives stone-faced. They didn't care about our feelings, they cared about box office numbers. "This could tank the film," one suit said. "Or it could make it iconic," Paul countered, surprising us. "The chemistry is undeniable. Lean into it." Amara and I exchanged a glance. Lean into it? That meant going public, owning the kiss, owning us. It was a gamble, but it was also a chance to rewrite the narrative. To show the world that love like ours wasn't a scandal. It was a story worth telling. We left the meeting with a plan. A joint interview carefully staged, where we'd confirm our relationship. It was terrifying, but it felt right. As we stepped out into the Los Angeles sun, Amara took my hand, her grip firm. "Ready for the biggest stunt of your life?" she asked, a smile tugging at her lips. I laughed, my heart lighter than it had been in weeks. "With you? Always." The interview was set for a major outlet, a live stream that would reach millions. Amara and I sat side by side in a sleek studio, the cameras trained on us, the host's smile polite but probing. My stunt gear was gone, replaced by a simple blazer and jeans, but I felt more exposed than ever. Amara, radiant in a soft blue dress, reached for my hand under the table, her touch grounding me. "So, Amara Lena," the host began, "the kiss in Eclipse of Valor has everyone talking. Can you tell us what happened on set that day?" Amara took a breath, her voice steady. "It wasn't planned. It was real. Lena and we've been navigating something together, something that matters to us. That moment was honest and we stand by it." The host's eyes flicked to me, and I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I'm a stuntwoman," I said. "I'm used to taking risks. But loving Amara? That's the bravest thing I've ever done." The words hung in the air, and I felt the weight of them. The truth, the vulnerability, the hope. The host moved on to safer topics, but the message was clear. We were out and we weren't backing down. The response was a tidal wave. Some fans celebrated, flooding social media with support. Others were cruel, their words sharp and hateful. Amara's team worked overtime to manage the fallout, but she refused to let it dim her light. "We're not just a headline," she told me one night, curled up on my couch in my tiny apartment. "We're us." The film's premiere was a month later, and Eclipse of Valor was a hit, the kiss scene its beating heart. Critics called it groundbreaking, a love story that transcended the action. Amara's star rose higher, and though some doors closed, others opened, directors who saw her courage, producers who wanted authenticity. I kept working, my name now tied to hers, not just as a stuntwoman but as her partner. We faced challenges, whispers on sets, paparazzi at every turn, but we faced them together. I took on new stunts, each one a reminder that I could survive anything, especially with Amara by my side. She took roles that scared her, stories that pushed boundaries, her talent undeniable. One night after a long day, we stood on a rooftop overlooking Los Angeles, the city that had tried to break us but hadn't. Amara leaned against me, her head on my shoulder. You know, she said, I used to think love was a risk I couldn't take. But you? You're worth every leap. I kissed her soft and sure, no cameras needed. And you're my soft landing, I said. Our story wasn't perfect, but it was ours. In a world that demanded we hide, we chose to be seen. And that, more than any stunt or scene, was the real victory. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.